My name is Hannah and welcome to my podcast Tales of Yarnia. It's a podcast all about knitting, sometimes a little bit of crocheting, and anything crafty that I get up to. So I wanted to say a big welcome to any new viewers. Thank you for giving my podcast a chance, and I hope you enjoy watching and come back for more. And also thank you so much to any of my returning viewers. I really appreciate you coming back to watch each episode, and I'm glad you want to come back for more. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Yarnia Designs, and you can also find all of my knitting patterns on Ravelry under Yarnia Designs as well. I think I have also got a Facebook thing called Yarnia Designs, but probably the best place to follow any of my updates and things like that would be Instagram. So yeah, so it's been a couple of weeks since I last podcast. That's mostly been because my shift pattern at work has changed, and it's taken quite a lot of my energy just to get used to it again. So sorry about the little break in podcasting, because I think I was doing it fairly regularly before. So I'll talk more about life stuff at the end, but just a quick note just to let you know why it's been a couple of weeks now. So on to what I'm wearing. I think I have worn this on the podcast before, but I can't remember how long it's been since I wore it. So this is my Tecna sweater, which is patterned by Caitlin Hunter, also known as Boylan Knitworks, and it's a really fun pattern to make. I'll just stand up just so you can see the lace detail. So as you can see, it's a sort of a knitted t-shirt, knit out of fingering weight yarn, and it's got this gorgeous lace panel at the bottom, which is so pretty, and I absolutely love it. I really enjoy wearing it as well because it's got quite a lot of positive ease, so it's quite light and airy to wear in the summer. I think I sort of wear mine all year round because in the summer when it's really hot, I just wear it on its own. But then in the winter, I like to wear a vest top underneath. And so I just sort of wear it as 2 layers instead. Yeah. I know a lot of people have said for this pattern the arms were quite tight or quite small. And I did find that as well. I'm not sure whether they've just stretched with me wearing it, but I did feel they were quite tight. Because I don't think I did the smallest size. I think I might have done the next one up from the smallest. I can't remember. Because I knit this last summer, so it's been quite a while. But it's probably one of my most worn items. I absolutely love it. So, yeah. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you what yarn I used. I used Tuscan Knits. It used about 1.5 skeins. It was in her fuzz base on the Pigwidgeon colourway, which I really, really love. I love that yarn so much. I bought another sweater's quantity in the fuzz base in a different colourway. I can't remember what it was called, but it's in my stash. I'm just waiting to find the right pattern for it. What was it? It might have been Wildflower. Can't remember. I think I've shown it before on the podcast. It's like a grey and purple variegated colourway. Yeah, the fuzz base, it's got mohair content. I think this Tuscan Knits in this base was used as the sample for the Tecna, which is sort of why I went for it, because I wanted to give it a go. So yeah, sorry, enough about the Tecna. On to a little announcement that I've got. So, really exciting news, or I think it's really exciting anyway. My latest sock design, the Cottage garden socks, are now available on Ravelry. So I've just got them here to show you. I'll just show you one sock first. So it's a toe-up sock pattern with contrast, toe and heel. And then it's got this little lace design that goes all up one side of the sock. So if I show both of them, you can sort of see it goes up sort of the outside of your foot, if that makes sense. See if you can see the detail there. Yes, it sort of like reminds me of sort of climbing plants, which is why I named them the Cottage garden socks. And then up the entire back of the leg, you've also got a sort of leafy lace pattern. If I can sort of show you that. It's so difficult trying to show just the back of a sock on a sock blocker, but that's the little design you get on the back as well. So I absolutely loved knitting up the sample of these because I found all along the foot you were just whizzing along, and some of my test knitters also said they found the pattern really addictive and really quick to knit up, especially along this bit, because they were so excited to get to the back lace as well. Yeah, if you go on to Ravelry, you can see, I think some of my test knitters have now added their projects to the page, so you can have a look at other colourways people have used. But yeah, this is now available on Ravelry, as I said, and I did have an initial discount code which I announced on Instagram for the pattern, which I always do, so that's actually been on there for a week now. But as this is episode 13, and to sort of celebrate the release of the pattern, I thought it might be a nice idea to just have a bit of a sale on all of my patterns for 13% off, because it's episode 13. That's quite a fun number. Lucky for some, unlucky for others. But yeah, I just wanted to do 13% off, that's 1-3, on all of my patterns for the next week or so. So I think I'm going to do the code as, what did I write down? The code is going to be episode 13, so I'll write that on the screen and in the show notes, which will just be in the down bar below. And that will be on there until the end of Sunday the 27th of May. So yeah, and that's on all of my patterns, shawls and socks I've got in there. So yeah, I just thought, because I've had a sale on Instagram and I didn't have a chance to announce them on the podcast yet, I thought I would do something a little bit different on here, just so other people can take advantage as well. So yeah, that's the Cottage garden socks. Right, so I think that's all about that one. Oh no, I forgot to say what yarn I used for those, just in case you're interested and want to have a look at that. The main colourway is a sock blank by Sweet Sparrow Yarns in the Fairy Ring colourway. And then for the contrast toes and heels, I used Eden Cottage yarns in the Red Kite colourway. So there we go. Now I haven't got any FOs this time, even though it's been a couple of weeks since I last podcast. I feel like I've made a lot of progress on a couple of things, but there's not really one project that I've put all of my energy into. There's one which has got a substantial amount of progress, but the others have all sort of had a little bit of work done on them, and I've sort of felt like working on quite a variety of things over the last couple of weeks, so I've not got any FOs, even though it's been a couple of weeks. So I'll dive straight into the whips. I'm just going to have a bit of water first. Yeah, I'm not drinking a hot drink today. It's quite warm. I've had coffee already, so if I have any more, I'm just going to be bouncing off the walls. And then I'll be talking so fast that you can't keep up with what I'm saying. So I thought it was better just to have some water, but it's quite exciting. I got this in my Ravenclaw cup. These are really old cups. We've got one for each each Hogwarts house in Harry Potter. And I got these from Universal Studios. Yeah, when we went to Florida. It's probably going to be like 10 years ago, but yeah. And yeah, I am apparently a Ravenclaw, so I'm drinking out the Ravenclaw one today. But I also like the Gryffindor one. Those are my two favourites. And Jimmy likes the Slytherin one because he thinks he's a Slytherin. But he used that one so much that it broke and got a hole in it. So, yeah. So now his favourite is Hufflepuff because he can't be Slytherin anymore. Anyway, bit of a tangent. Right, first project I'm going to show you is living in my homespun house bag with all of the llamas on, which I absolutely love because I love llamas. And people who've watched before are going to know what this is. It's my Portage Cardigan, which is a big project to undertake. It is a big project. So I feel like when I feel like I've put a lot of time into it, it doesn't always look like that much progress because it involves a lot of mini cabling. Sorry, I'm just picking off the dog hair. Oh, I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the episode for any new viewers, I live in the UK with my other half Jimmy and our yellow Labrador, who is nearly 2 years old, and his name is Jonah. So Jonah's hair ends up on everything, especially all of my knitting. But luckily with this colourway, because he's a yellow lab, it doesn't really show up as much. It's more on darker things. So yes, here is my Portage, which is, there we go. So if you see where the little progress keeper is, that's where I was last time, here. And so that's how much I've done since the last time. So it might not look like very much, but there are other projects I have spent much more time on. And I have had to put quite a bit of time into it, but because of all the mini cables, it does take a while to work up. So, and this is my little progress keeper with a little bell on it, which is from my lovely friend Wendy, who is the dyer behind Moonflower Yarns. And she has loads of little progress keepers in there and lots of lovely skeins of yarn. So you should definitely go and check her out. I think I used her yarn for one of my designs. It was the Holy Socks. Yeah, I used her yarn for that one. But yeah, you should definitely go check her out. Then I've got some other little teacups, which are ceramic, and then I've got the matching teapot. Oh, it's upside down. Matching teapot there. And then also a hot cross bun, because who doesn't love a hot cross bun? I can't remember. I think those are from Steph Cuddles. All of those stitch markers. But yeah, I am really enjoying how my portage is working up. I had a bit of a panic this last week, thinking that it might not fit me when it's done, but because I'm not sure how much this cabley texture is going to sort of relax and flatten out, and how much it might grow once it's blocked. Because the sleeves feel more than big enough. So I'm just sort of worried about the back. I mean, I can see it is like pretty stretchy, but I don't want it to be overstretched when I'm wearing it, if that makes sense. I know the pattern recommends, I think it was 1 inch of negative ease. So I know it's meant to be fairly fitted on the back. And you do end up, I think, adding like quite a big collar and edge on the front of each side. So I have tried it on and it does fit on me. I'm just worried about it being a little bit too tight across the back, but I think the cable pattern might relax a bit. I'm knitting the smallest size, and I measured myself beforehand, and I got gauge doing a sort of swatch. So I don't know. I'm hoping it will fit, but I'm a bit worried about that. But if anyone else watching this has already knit the portage, did you have the same sort of concerns whilst you were knitting it? Because it is a lot of work to put into a project. I don't want to put in all of this work and effort and then it not fit at the end. So yeah, let me know if anyone has any thoughts on this at all. Because I've never knit a garment that has this amount of cabling on it, so I'm not sure if it will relax a bit, or how it's sort of going to behave once it's blocked. If anyone has any thoughts on this, I'd really appreciate it if you share them with me. So either comment in the on this video, or you can message me on Instagram or Ravelry or anything like that. But it does look beautiful, doesn't it? The yarn I'm using, I don't think I've mentioned, is Primrose Yarn Co. in the Bramble colourway. I absolutely love how it's knitting up. It just looks so gorgeous, and the texture just feels so squishy. It's just so pretty. Love it. So yeah, I'm trying to just keep plugging away on it and just gradually making progress, slowly but steadily. So yeah, that's enough about that now. Oh yeah, also I am alternating skeins. My first time doing that, and that seems to be going really well for me so far, so yay. Right, next project. Now, this is the one which I've been putting most of my effort into, and it's actually a shawl design of mine. This is the bag it's in by the absolutely wonderful and talented Emerald Fibres. And this one, it's got a little narwhal. So it's one of my favourite bags, this one, just because it's so easy to just draw string and chuck in whatever bag I'm taking out with me. And it just feels so sturdy and well made. Love it. And then I've got my 2 little pins on here, which I've mentioned before. So, right, anyway, I'm quite conscious I've got a lot to talk about this episode, so I'm going to crack on with it. Otherwise, we'll end up being here for hours. So, I have got here my latest shawl design that I'm working on, which is a fingering weight shawl. And I've sort of got it in mind that it's going to be a light and airy summer shawl, which is why I've sort of been putting most of my effort into this, because I would like to release it whilst it's still warm. So if you can see where the little progress keeper is here. Ooh. This little progress keeper. Oh, he's backwards. That progress keeper is from Sugar Tots. And it's a little sleepy tea bag. But yes, where that is where I was up to the last time I podcast. So since then, let me just, maybe it'll be easier if I show it upside down. So since then, I have done quite a lot more. So it was just, it's so difficult to hold now. It's getting so big. So just there is where I was up to. So I've done all of this since, and it increases quite rapidly. So you can see how bunched up this is on the needles on both sides. So I just sort of stretched out in the middle so that you can see sort of the main section of the shawl. So the white colour, sort of the white and black speckled colour I'm using, is a Hedgehog Fibres in the typewriter colourway on the singles base, and then this bright sort of neon-y mint green with pops of colour is a Labian Amé on the singles base in the Life Aquatic colourway. So I am now on the last section of the shawl, and I've mostly been working on this because I'm really enjoying working on it when it's quite warm, just because it's so light and airy, and I think the colours are quite summery and fun. So I seem to like working on really bright coloured things when it's sunny outside. I love to just sit in the garden and work on something really bright and neon. I don't know why. But yeah, this is what I've mostly been working on, especially when I'm outside. Sat in the sun in the garden, which is one of my favourite places to knit in the world ever. So you can sort of see there's a lot of garter. I've done these sort of eyelet sections with a these lace sections with eyelets and sort of a wavy pattern. And then the bit I'm just doing now is going to be a bit different to the rest of it. But yeah, you can sort of see there. And these yarns are absolutely gorgeous to work with. I'm hoping I will have finished it maybe in a week's time, and that it might be ready to be tested in probably definitely. That doesn't really help anyone, does it? I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks I will be able to send it out to test knitters I think I've got one person lined up to test knit already. But if anyone else is interested, I'd quite like to get some testers lined up before I'm ready to send the pattern out. I think that would work quite well because then people have got time to get their yarn choices ready. So I'll probably be looking for another couple of test knitters if anyone is interested. Feel free to just send me a message on Ravelry or Instagram. That would be really awesome. So it's going to be 2 100-gram skeins of yarn in 2 different colours that you would need to test knit this. So yeah, I love it. I know it's sort of like tooting your own horn, but I'm really enjoying knitting this. I found the garter sections really relaxing, and then I do really enjoy some lace just to keep things interesting. So I think that was all I needed to say about that one. So on to the next whip, which is living in my thimble and thread little foxes and mushrooms bag, which I also really love for a sock project, just to keep in this little drawstring. And it's got a cute little handle as well. So in here is living my singular sock at the moment. This is just a vanilla pair of socks. Well, will be a vanilla pair of socks. And I'm still on the first sock. But this is where I was up to last podcast. So I've done a fair amount since then. I'm just going to be knitting each sock as a tube toe up. And then I'm going to be adding the heels afterwards, just as an afterthought heel. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. Just really mindless, easy to take to work, to knit on in my break. Because it's something you just don't have to think about. You can just go round and round and enjoy seeing the stripes knit up. And the yarn I'm using for this is a colourway by Jinx Yarns, one of her self-striping ones, which is inspired by the cartoon TV show Rick and Morty. And the colourway is called C137, which is one of the planets within the TV show. So I'm really loving the neon green and how this is working up. Really, really loving that. So yeah, really enjoying it. Not really much more to say about that. Oh, other than I could tell you what needles I'm using. I now knit most of my socks on 2mm needles, and these are higher sharps, which is my go-to needle of choice. I used to knit my socks on 2.25mm, and I think if it was a cable-y pattern, I probably would go back to 2.25mm just because it'll be a bit tighter with cables. But for just a vanilla sock, I use 2mm and a 64 stitch count. So yeah, right. So on to the next whip. I think my next whip is a new one, actually, since the last time I podcast. I decided to knit a Weasley sweater for my sister, which I'm aiming to have done either by her birthday in November or by Christmas as a Christmas present. Because she is sort of in the process of designing a new logo for me, because she is a graphic designer, so that's very handy to know one, let alone be related to one. So yeah, she offered to design me a new logo for the podcast and for my design knitting patterns. So as sort of a thank you, I'm going to knit her a Weasley sweater, because she's a huge Harry Potter fan, just like me, and when I sort of mentioned the idea to her, she was like, oh my gosh, yes. So yeah, I think that'll be. I thought that would be like a really fun project just to have ongoing throughout the year, so I've not got to rush it. So I thought if I start now, I can at least get going on it and just sort of gradually add a bit to it every so often. It won't be a big rush at the end. So the yarn I've decided to use, I decided to go with Drops Charisma because it's 100% wool, but it's a superwash wool. And I've heard good things about Drops before, but I've never actually used it. So I'll show you together the colours I'm using. So these are the colours. So the main colour is going to be this dark blue, which is called, I think it's called Petrol Cerise, but they don't write that on here. I'm sure when I ordered it online it was called Petrol Cerise. So you can sort of see, she picked out the colours herself. I just sent her a couple of different yarns that might be suitable, and she picked this one for the main colour. So yeah, it's colour 75 apparently. Drops Charisma, 100% wool, and yeah, it's going to be all in DK weight. So yeah, you can sort of see it's got little flecks of pink and teal in there as well. It's getting blown out a tiny bit. I don't know if you can sort of see. And that doesn't really help. But yeah, it's a dark navy blue from far away. And then the contrast colour, which will be for the letter, is in this sort of really light blue. It's sort of like a grey, light grey blue. I've forgotten what the colourway name was, but it's called colour 68, which is a really catchy name. So yeah, 2 colours are these. So yeah, my sister's name begins with an R, so there will be an R, letter R, sort of in the middle of the sweater. And I'll show you the progress I've made so far. I'm using the flax pattern by Tin Can Knits as like a template for the sweater, and then I'm going to add in the letter from a what's it called? I don't know what you call them. There's this sort of database I found online that's got all these templates for knitted letters, like colourwork letters, or is it called? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember the name of the website, but I will put a link in the down bar in case anyone else is interested in that too. So at the moment, I have not got very much progress, but I have started the yoke of the sweater. I just push this to the end of the needles without them slipping off. There you go. Sorry if you can hear that. I think that's next door's dog barking. But yeah. So all of this was cast on. I ordered the yarn and cast it on since my last podcast, and I've not spent that much time on it yet. So I've did the ribbing one by one, ribbing, and then I've gone into the increasing for the sleeves and the general top part of the sweater. So I think Jonah's hair is going to show up a bit on this, so I'm going to try and keep him away from this project. Yeah, so I have got on here this little progress keeper, which is from, what's it from? I always forget the name. Why do I always forget? Oh, I know it. Jiggles and Beans. Jiggles and Beans is the name. I don't know why I always forget. I think it's just whenever I podcast, I know everything in my head. When I'm in front of the camera, my brain just goes, no, I don't know. Anyway, this lovely little gingerbread man. I thought I'd put him on here just because Harry Potter knits just remind me of a festive time of year, and I'm aiming to get this done by Christmas, so I thought that made sense to me. And then I've got these little progress keepers, which were sent to me by a lovely friend and viewer of the podcast. I think I showed them off last episode. Yeah, lovely little fruit. So yeah, that's pretty much it at the moment. I'm not sure how far to carry on before I then start the letter. So if anyone has knit a Weasley sweater, please share your knowledge with me. And let me know when you think I should start this. It's a bit difficult to figure out, well, it's difficult to gauge where it's going to end up sitting. I think I've got a couple, I'll carry on at least a couple more inches before starting it. So it's at least like here. Yeah. I'll figure it out. It's fine. I'm sort of winging it on this one. So it's that sort of project. Right, so that's that one. Yeah. There's one more project, one more whip. I've just been a bit mad working on everything. And this one was a bit of a forgotten whip, which I actually forgot I had going on for a couple of months. Because it wasn't living in its own project bag. I just sort of shoved it in a bag somewhere out of the way. And I don't know why I did that. But it's actually one of my holy socks, which is a free pattern I designed, which is available on Ravelry. This is what the completed sock that I did. You can sort of see it's just sort of like a textured pattern, which I designed for variegated yarns. And it's a free pattern, so yeah. But I did finish the one, and I forgot that I hadn't actually finished the second sock. And I was thinking the other day, I was thinking about where I'd put them, thinking I'd finished them, and then I found a half knit sock. And I was like, why didn't I finish this? So I'm now working on that as well. So I think I'd got up to around here when I discovered it last week. And since then, I've knit the heel and worked up to here. So I've not got too much further to go now. So yeah, I think I've got one more of these garter stripe sections, and then I'm on to the waffly bit and then the toe. So hopefully that will be an FO soon. Yay! So yeah, that pattern is written for toe up. I designed it toe up first, and then I've also included instructions for cuff down as well. So yeah. So I thought I would just quickly share that I've rediscovered these, and I'm also working on those now. The yarn I'm using is junk yarn in the Rey colourway, R-E-Y, who's a character out of Star Wars. And I love how it works up. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. I quite like how the texture of this shows off some of the little pops of colour as well. Oh, isn't it cool? And it's super sparkly as well. So, yay! Hopefully that'll be done by next time. That was the last whip. So now I have got a couple of acquisitions to show you. Sorry, I'm talking so much. I feel like I'm talking really fast as well to sort of fit everything in. because otherwise it's going to take me forever to edit this. Right, I've only got a couple of things to show now. So one of the acquisitions was the Drops Charisma yarn. And I think I ordered it from Wool Warehouse, which is a website here in the UK. And I think I needed to get I wanted to get the total amount I was spending up to a certain amount, so I can't remember what it was, up to a certain amount so that I can get free postage. Because I hate paying for postage when you can get it free, or you can spend money on yarn instead of postage. So I ordered 2 balls of West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. The first one is just plain black, and I just needed to get some plain black yarn so that I can use it as the heels on my Rick and Morty socks, which I just grab. So I'm going to have black heels in the middle there, I think. So that's the first ball I got. And then I also picked up one of their bird-themed colourways, which is this one. And I think this is the Bullfinch colourway. So, yeah, this is going to be a pair of socks for Jimmy. He picked out the colourway. I thought he hasn't had a pair of socks knit for a while, so I thought I would just get him to pick one of these, because I wanted to try one of their variegated bird-themed garden birds. I think it's the Garden Birds collection. I've wanted to try one of these for a little while, so I've gone with the Bullfinch. He picked it himself, so that should be really fun to work up at some point. I think that won't be cast on until I finish the Rick and Morty socks, at least, because it's going to be a pair of plain vanilla socks, and if I cast on more than one pair of those at once, there's only a certain amount of time I spend on vanilla socks, because I don't always want mindless knitting. Sometimes I want something with a bit more interest, so I think I only really need one pair of vanilla socks on the go at once. So yeah, that will be really fun. I'm looking forward to trying that out. And then there's one other acquisition, which was a bit of a... I felt like those were okay acquisitions, considering I was on a yarn diet. Note the use of past tense. Because some of it was to make a present for my sister, which I didn't have the yarn for already. And they were just sort of little add-ons to get the price up to get free postage. And one thing was one I needed for a current project, which was the black yarn. So I noticed Beehive Yarns was having a shop update. I think it was last weekend. And I really, really love her yarn. Like, pretty much all of the colourways I would love to have in my stash. But there's one in particular that's been drawing my eye recently. And it's the Rose Lichin colourway. So I had to snag a skein. I think it's going to be such a gorgeous pair of socks. I think it's going to be socks. We'll have to see. But, oh, please don't do that. It could be part of a really gorgeous shawl as well. Anyway, I got it on her Bardot base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And it's so gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I think it's a high twist yarn. And I think this was what I used, the same base, sorry, was what I used for my Volca socks last year. And I think that was her Take the A-Train colourway sock set that I used for that. And it's one of the pairs of socks, or one of the yarns I've used for a pair of socks that I enjoyed the most working with. So I had to get it on that same base again. I don't see if I can move this a little bit. Ooh, I was hiding some of the best parts. Look at that. Oh, it's so gorgeous. So I think this might turn into, it could turn into a sock design. It really could. I don't know. But all I know is that I love it. And I had to have it in the stash. So yarn diet has sort of failed for a bit. I mean, I had a yarn purchasing break, and that seems to have ended. But I'm still trying not to buy things where I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I'm trying to avoid impulse purchases. This was a weak moment. But, I mean, who can say no to this? It's just gorgeous. So, yeah, I think I was allowed that one. Love it so much. Oh, gosh. Anyway, yes. That was it for acquisitions. I'm now falling off my chair because I got so excited about the acquisitions. So I've just got a little bit of life stuff to talk about. Recently, my parents came to visit. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. Must have been about 2 weeks ago. They came to visit for the Cheltenham Jazz Festival, which is a yearly jazz festival in the town where I live. And people come from all over the country just to come and listen to the jazz and enjoy just a really nice week or weekend in Cheltenham. So they came to visit for that because all of us are into jazz music. I've sort of been brought up listening to it because my granddad is a jazz musician. He's in a jazz band. And yeah, I just always appreciated it. I can't really say I still do play the saxophone, but I grew up playing the saxophone. But I haven't picked it up for a few years now, which is quite sad, but I still have it. The saxophone I always played was given to me by my mum, and it was the one she learned to play on. So it's sort of got a place, but it's sort of in a place quite close to my heart. And it's something which I've always felt quite passionate about. So yeah, it was really, really, really nice for them to come and visit. We went to the festival just on one of the days. I think we went on the Saturday, which is the main day for it. And we wandered around listening to music playing. It was a really lovely atmosphere, and it was it was like the best day weather-wise for the festival. It was so hot. The sun was out the whole time, which, if you are familiar with UK weather, is a real achievement for that day. So it was just such a lovely day. We had such a lovely time. Everyone at the festival was just relaxed and happy, and you could just tell everyone was having such an enjoyable day. I think I will have included some footage of the festival at the beginning of the episode. So if you are wondering what that was, where we were wandering around and eating and drinking, that was the Cheltenham Jazz Festival. So I really hope that we could do that every year. It would be really nice if Mum and Dad could come and visit every year for the festival, and we'll make it sort of yearly pilgrimage for them to Cheltenham. So yeah, my dad spent a lot of time in the little pop-up record store. We can't go anywhere without him finding a record store and getting records. When I say records, I mean vinyl records. He's obsessed with vinyl. So yeah, it was just really, really lovely weekend. Lots of food, lots of good food, lots of nice drink, and yeah, lots of sun as well. It's really lovely. So yeah, that's sort of the main thing I've been getting up to. And then after that weekend, my shift pattern changed. So now I only ever work 12-hour shifts. And up till this point, I worked 9, 10 and 11-hour shifts in a bit of a mixture. So it's been quite intense adjusting to that shift pattern. And I felt like some of the time I just haven't even felt like knitting, which is insane to me because ever since I started knitting, I've not been able to put it down. I think I've been knitting for a couple of years now. Must be about 3 years. I can't remember, but yeah, so that's just been a bit of an adjustment, and I feel like I've settled into it a bit now. So hopefully there'll be a bit of a more regular podcasting schedule. Hopefully on each of my sets of rest days, I would hope to do a podcast, which is about every 8 days, is my shift cycle. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to cover now, and I think it's probably going to be way long enough. So yeah, I really hope you've all had a really lovely couple of weeks, and I hope you have another lovely couple of weeks and enjoy some nice weather. Yeah, so happy knitting, and I'll speak to you soon.